Welcome back to another episode of Unofficially Reviewed. I'm Nate, joined with Christian. Christian,
What's up? What's up?
we are going to be reviewing the
Drum roll.
series on Amazon Prime, Lord of the Rings of Power. Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
So there's three episodes out now, right? They're each an hour long, and this is set. Oh, I forgot what 3,000 years or something before the first movie, right? Before
correct.
the
Correct.
Hobbit,
Yes.
something or another, right? Okay, yeah, something like that. So, th- um, I didn't read a lot about what it was supposed to be doing, but it's like when all of these races or when the rings were crafted, I'm assuming, and all these races got each individual ring, right?
Correct. Yeah, because it
Something like
was
that.
the elves got three. I think the dwarves got seven, and then the men got nine rings of power.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Um, so yeah, there is a lot of to do about this show. So, Chris, how did you feel about this series?
So I wasn't super excited about it. Like I always knew I would watch it because
Hmm.
I really enjoyed Lord of the Rings films. So
Yeah.
when I heard about Lord of the Rings were going to be films back in the day, I hadn't really heard about it much, but I saw some featurette about the making of it. It was going to be coming out. I was
Right.
like, that looks great. I immediately went and bought the Lord of the Rings, like 3 volume set in like one book, and then like I read all through that, like
Wait, you
the
read the
summer.
books?
I read the Lord of the Rings books, yeah, the whole thing. So I went and read all
Wow.
of that. Then when the movies came out, I bought every extended edition on DVD.
Hmm.
I got like
Yeah,
the
I
collector's
remember
ones,
that.
which came in like these little like look almost like a book.
Yep.
And then
I remember.
Universal
I
had,
remember those that you had.
yeah, was
Yeah.
it Universal? Whoever it was that published them, they had you could buy like a case to hold all three of
Oh,
like
okay.
those the collector book things. So I
Yep.
had the whole thing, right? So
Jeez.
I was
Okay.
really into those movies. When the Hobbit movies came out, I think I watched a couple of them, but I don't think I watched the last one. I
Oh.
never read the Hobbit,
Hmm.
so my kind of knowledge is more around Lord of the Rings, specifically those movies. The
Right.
Hobbit, I know a little bit, and so when I heard this was coming out, I was also hearing about the Game of Thrones show coming out, House of the Dragon. So these two kind of prequel shows coming out
Hmm.
almost the exact same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't too excited. The more I've watched it, the more I want to like go and read more lore and like understand like more what's going on. So I
You're
told
right.
you what I do with shows that I like and movies is I
Hmm.
watch them,
Yeah.
then I immediately go onto YouTube and I watch like all these breakdown videos and like hidden things that you didn't notice and
Right.
like try to get into it, understand better. So yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying it quite a bit, more than I thought. I
Yeah.
actually prefer this show, I think, more than House of the Dragon, but that's a topic for another day. But how
Yeah.
about you?
Okay. I am not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I'm a huge fantasy fan. So that's
Hmm.
the thing. But I did not read the books. I wanted to read the books when I found out about the movies, and then I just never did. So, um, but I too had purchased all of the DVDs because I liked the idea of it, but I was just not like a huge fan. And like you, when The Hobbit came out, it took me a while to watch The Hobbit. Wait, I think I watched the first one in the theaters, if I'm not mistaken. Oh wait, did I watch all three of them in the theaters?
I
But
know
I
I
think I
did because
watched them
the first one
alone.
I think it was weird because it was done like was it 48 frames per second? It was some high frame rate thing that looked kind of odd.
Oh
It was
yeah.
almost like that soap opera effect thing you see like on some
Oh
TVs when
yeah,
they'll turn
yeah.
off that motion smoothing thing. Yeah, it
Mm-hmm.
was kind of like that. But I
Okay.
remember a lot of people were like turned off
Oh,
that they had done that. So I remember I went mostly because I wanted to kind of see what that looked like,
okay.
and it was kind of a odd feeling for
I
sure.
remember now. I remember why I forgot that I had watched the movies is because I fell asleep in every single one of them. I watched them in Paris and I fell asleep because I'm not a huge Lord of the Rings fan. I like the idea, but I for me there wasn't enough magic and there was just um, a lot of talking, I suppose, like a lot of I guess there wasn't, but whatever. And then so but I watched the show because it's a show, and I like when if they can take a show, or sorry, take a movie series and turn it into a good show, not just a show just because it's a popular or whatever. So they just put it whatever. So I did when I did watch this. I watched it with my husband, and we were honestly we were gripped. So like we were like, oh, this is interesting, it's done really well, so whatever.
Yeah.
And then we watched the second. We thought it was only one episode, but the first week they put out two episodes, so we watched both
Hmm.
of them back to back. And then the this last week we watched the third episode, and I really want to know. Like, I mean, what happens in the end, but still, I want to know,
Right.
like, the results of this. So yeah, so I'm excited. I don't have access to watching House of Dragons, but I did want to, however, talk about this Rings of Power like controversy because
Oh
when it
boy.
came out, right? Apparently, reportedly, um, Amazon had to stop the review process on IMDb because IMDb belongs to Amazon,
Hmm.
and they had to stop it because there was a bunch of review bombings that were happening. So, for anyone, oh yeah, by the way, speaking of review bombings, there are going to. I mean, we are. Yeah, this is not a spoiler-free review. None of our
No,
reviews are
sir.
spoiler-free. Just in case you're wondering, we will be spoiling everything. Okay, we are discussing the show. So if you don't want spoilers, stop, watch the show, then come back, and then you know join our discussion. So they were for a review bombing. Apparently, I hadn't heard of this before. Oh no, I did. I had heard of this before. Is when people just get on and they just are constantly bashing the show. Um, I guess people are also making accounts to bash it and stuff like that. They're just it's artificial
Right.
poor
It's
reviews.
for the purpose of bringing down the rating of the show, not
Right.
because you want to review it.
Right,
Right.
exactly. Right. So, excuse me. That's what they were doing to this show in IMDb. So they took it down. I was looking at the review on Google. So it has, well, let's see, it has the IGN review, which is 8 out of 10, Rotten Tomatoes review, which is 84%, but I don't know if that is critic rating or if that is, I haven't looked it up, but, or if that is audience rating. And IMDb, it's down to 6.7%. And on Google, it's a 3.2. Also, in the same vein, we had Elon Musk who made a comment. Did you see his comment on the
Oh
Lord of the Rings?
yeah.
Yeah, this guy, he was like, he wasn't impressed, and I'm just like, well, no one's impressed with you. So,
Yeah. Right.
no,
Well, if you don't like it, then I guess.
yeah, like, but he
So
does
what?
also he's also entitled to his own opinion, but like, I guess we just don't join his his opinion. But I'm so sad that so many people just or maybe not so many people, but people want to bash it just for the reason of bashing it. And to top it all, like on top of that, there is a lot of hate about the fact that there's so many like uh, other ethnicities in this show. You know, so we have an actual like black or blackish elf.
Hmm.
Um, because I don't really know. And I think the was it the family that he's helping the her son. Do you know what his ethnicity is? So
Which
like
which? Oh yeah, he definitely looks like he could be other. I'm not
yes,
sure
exactly right.
exactly. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But
He's
yeah,
not. Yeah. I would not categorize him as Caucasian per se. He
hmm
definitely has got some very dark olive looking skin.
right,
So
exactly,
yeah.
yeah. So like yeah, that it
And
was
doesn't know who his father is, so who knows where he
right,
comes from.
exactly, yeah. And I mean, I think that was very specific. But do you feel like that took away from the show to have so many different?
I don't,
ethnicities?
one, because it's not that much,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't think it affects any of the story,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I and again, I haven't gotten deep into the lore of, Lord of the Rings and this universe, but the fact that there's a dark skinned elf or a dark skinned Harfoot or a dark skinned dwarf, to me, doesn't really mean anything. Like,
Yeah.
it makes sense. I don't see why, just because for however long we've always assumed that all these things were just always white, just because
Mm-hmm.
that's how they've been portrayed, doesn't mean like these races can't have multiple skin tones. Now,
Right.
it'd have been interesting if they had gone even further and some of them maybe had, like green skin, or like
Mm-hmm.
really onyx black skin,
Yeah.
right? Because I know, like when you create a character in some random game,
Yeah.
there's all kinds of options, and a lot of times, especially in fantasy, there's other skin tones, like, especially
Yes.
like these like elves and things. Like
Yeah.
elves often, especially like maybe a dark elves,
Mm-hmm.
which we might. I don't think they're going to, but who knows? This oh, what's the one that got revealed at the end of the last episode? What was the name?
The wood elves? What do you mean?
Well, so the last episode of Rings of Power, they
Yeah.
finally kind of partially revealed. What was it?
Oh
Adar?
yeah, Adar. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Adar,
Which.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
which seems to be kind of a fallen elf character. So in
Mm-hmm. Yes.
some other types of lore, that might be like a dark elf or a night elf or something, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so they might have darker skin, not necessarily like ethnically dark skin, but just just dark, right? Just
Yeah.
because. So who knows? But yeah, I mean, to me, skin tone doesn't matter a lot. I know that people have the same issue with House of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that was a little more founded, just because pure blood is part of the story of that particular Targaryen family,
Mm-hmm.
which is also why they tend to marry like people of their same lineage, and like
Mm-hmm.
intermarrying like siblings and all that kind of stuff, because they're
Okay.
trying to keep the blood pure.
Mm-hmm.
So to that degree, I could see why you might think there's a story reason why they wouldn't have someone dark skinned marrying into the family. I
Right.
could
Okay.
see potentially a reason why you might think that didn't fit in the story.
Okay.
This story, Lord of the Rings, I see no reason why someone couldn't be black, brown, purple, or otherwise.
Yeah.
Doesn't bother me
I
much.
I
So,
I wouldn't I would have I was having a hard time seeing the problem as well, just like you, because it's in this fantasy type realm. Um, yeah, like elves usually they are not usually only pale skin. They're usually, like you said, there's just a range of skin, and depending on what elf type they are as well. So if you have a
right.
wood elf, or a blood elf or whatever, you have multiple types. I think the what is the elven race in Lord of the Rings? Is there only one, and are they all like, I don't know, high elves or
Yeah,
whatever?
right. Yeah, it seems to be only one. Now, I know, like in Lord of the Rings, some of them were kind of living like in the woodland realm, but they
Mm-hmm.
didn't seem to be like a separate race per se. It was just
Right.
more like a different location and like kind of culture. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
it seems to be, so far we've only seen kind of one race of
Mm-hmm.
elf. Um, I mean, it's intimated that the orcs, intimated, it's mentioned in Lord of the Rings movies that the orcs
Were
were created
elves.
from elves, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So there's that. But yeah, I've not seen any different types of like races for any of kind of the core races. So I've not seen like, different types of dwarves per se, or different types of hobbits. I mean, the Harfoots seem to be kind of precursors to the
To
hobbits
hobbits. Yeah.
thousands of years
That's what
later.
we
But
were
other than
thinking.
that, yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
But
That's interesting. Yeah, I think, I don't know. Well, apart from all of this controversy, because I don't see any issue with the ethnicity. Um, like, what did you think about? So I thought, how do you pronounce her name? Galadriel? Is that her name? How you pronounce it?
Galadriel, yeah.
Yeah, Galadriel. Like, I felt like I did think that they kind of like pushed her to be a little bit more hardcore than I was maybe expecting. You know, like I felt like they is maybe these are just like her formative years where she just learns. Well, at first she was just calm. Then her brother dies, so then she just went on a rampage, and she's like,
Right.
"Screw anybody who gets in my way." And then maybe later she calms down and realizes that's probably not the best way of going about it or whatever. What do you think about her?
Yeah, I mean, when we see her in Lord of the Rings movies, again, it's been like a few thousand years
Right,
since this, so she's had time to kind of chill out,
right,
right?
yeah,
And
because
and
she's
maybe and maybe take a different tact, and maybe things that happened in between there
hmm
made her more of a calming presence. Maybe
yeah,
even having one of those rings of power, which she is one of the wielders of those later on, right? The
yeah.
Elven ring. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I know that bothers some people as well. Like, why she got to be all warrior, princess Xena type of thing? But like,
Well, I didn't have a. I don't think I had a problem with her just being like just badass like that. Like that is not. That wasn't my issue. My issue was that, like for example, she's just so. She just seemed so hateful. You know. But I mean, also we have to. I do recognize what was causing her to push forward like that is because well, her brother was killed by this guy, and then nobody, and she knew that nobody really wanted to admit the truth you know
right. Which to
um
me that was so interesting how the king played that. He was like, I realize he's probably still out there,
mhm
but us going around beating the bushes trying to find him might make it worse.
mhm
Right? So
right, yeah,
maybe we chill and plan versus keep wrestling all the bushes trying to, bring him out, because
mhm
we're going to cause the thing that we're trying to avoid, which I don't know if he's correct or not, but I could see why he might think that.
yeah. Well, I could see it from her point of view as well. Like she knows. I think she might be just from a person not having to experience this, looking at her what she's going through. I would just from the outside looking in be like, maybe that's not the proper way of going about it by making all of these enemies trying to find your enemy. But at the same time, I understand her frustration with the fact that no one's listening and no one. I think she is right. She should go and find out, scout out where this guy is or whatever. You should not be afraid of doing it, and she's not afraid to do it. And then she should get some people who are not afraid to go with her. But I guess, but I was put off by the fact that, like, so for example, so they went to the isle, to the island city or whatever it's called,
Numenor, right? Yeah.
Numenor, yeah. uh, and she just like jumped down their throats, and I'm just like, oh, whoa, 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 like
Right.
diplomat, little diplomatic, um, kindness maybe or something like that, but she was not having it.
Yeah. Well, it's
So
interesting because for the elves, they live so long that they remember all these slights from like hundreds of years ago. Because if you
yeah,
remember
yeah,
Numenor, her people used to go back and forth
right,
there,
hmm
and then they got shut down. And
yeah,
she remembers it personally, not like
yeah,
she heard about it. Like she's been alive the whole time to see
right,
all this transpire, which is like, which is why they also, when you see like the guards that were kind of over the elf guards that kind of overwatching the Southlands,
hmm
right? Like they didn't trust any of the men, right? The
right,
humans. They're like, because they sided with Morgoth back in the day. Like they
right,
didn't
yeah,
personally, but for you, like you were there, like you remember, like their forebears did it, so you kind of still distrust them, which to me was interesting because she, with all of her hate for Morgoth and Sauron and all that,
hmm
she still trusted Halbrand to kind of
yeah,
work with him, knowing full well it was his direct ancestors that
yeah,
swore a blood oath to Morgoth, like
right,
during that first battle. So I didn't expect that from her. I
hmm
thought she would still kind of be holding a grudge to him and all his family for generations on, forever and ever. Amen. But for I get maybe for her, put that aside because there's a greater thing that I'm trying to accomplish, which is take down Sauron.
right. But and it was also very interesting to see Isildur, Isil, what's his name? Isildur,
Isildur, yeah,
Isildur, yeah, or whatever. He's the one that killed, if I'm not mistaken, right? Because again, I'm not like a huge fan. He's the one that cut off Sauron's finger, right, and
exactly.
kept
Yeah,
the
he's the
ring
one, and then yeah, and didn't throw it
and didn't
away.
throw. Yeah, yeah. So
Stupid. It's like throw it away, destroy it. No. Like, what do you mean no?
But that would have been the end of the movies.
Right? Exactly. But to that, also just thinking about that, and I haven't looked a lot of the lore and all of that, but it seems like from things that I've been reading and hearing that the timeline of this movie compresses a lot of things to happen closer together than they do in kind of the history. So this
Okay.
movie is based off of, I guess there's like a history of Middle Earth that
Hmm.
was kind of tacked onto the end of Lord of the Rings. So there's no book about this time, but like there's kind of a historical kind of account of kind of what happened during these first couple of ages. And some of these
Okay.
things, as far as the original timeline, happened much farther apart,
Okay.
whereas now they're kind of happening closer together, which
Right.
to me doesn't matter because I don't know otherwise.
Right. Yeah.
But I remember even watching Lord of the Rings initially, the books were so fresh that certain things I was like, this happened already. Like
Yeah.
it took them months to walk from here to there. Like how is this happening already, and how are these things happening at the same time, or things are missing. But if you
Yeah.
don't read the books, that kind of thing isn't as important to you. And again, it's an adaptation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like they're trying to do word for word
Right.
the books as a TV show.
Hmm.
It's taking the source material, making a show.
Yeah.
And for me, as you are true to kind of the core themes and ideas,
Hmm.
if you guys change stuff to make it make more sense as a TV
Yeah.
series that we can watch and follow along with, not follow thousands of years of history,
Yeah.
so be it. It's all good.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
moving.
that's 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 definitely a challenge that a lot of adaptations, have to struggle with because yeah, you have to make if you're using source material, you have to make it doesn't always translate perfectly into a series or a movie. You have to make some changes, which I know frustrates people, but it's just the way it works. Otherwise the show will be too boring or maybe too long, or it just won't make any sense or whatever because yeah. So anyways, so what's your rating for the show so far?
So far, so as I gotta say, is closer to. I'm gonna say 8 right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm at 8. I'm at 8. A lot will depend on how the season ends,
Okay.
where my final rating will go, because endings matter a lot to me. Like I,
Yeah.
I, I weigh endings very heavily
But this is
because,
going to be a cliffhanger, especially
well,
if
yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not
but
going.
as long as it makes sense, I'll be okay. You
Mm,
know, um, I don't mind cliffhanger as long as they make another season.
right.
If they don't, then I'll be very upset.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I think it's an 8. How about you?
Okay. Yeah. I'd probably give it an 8. I was thinking an 8. And I have no reason to give it anything less. I am very, very pleased with it. There's just so much going on, and I'm concerned about characters that aren't even they've like I'm concerned. I'm wondering what's going to happen to, like, for example, the elf. I don't know if we all ever know, but the elf that was with her at the beginning when they were like um hunting for Sauron, and then they abandoned her. I'm
Mm-hmm.
wondering what he's about, like what's going to happen. I'm wondering what's going to happen with this the lady and her son, because he found that sword,
You're
the
right, and his
sword,
blood went in
whatever,
there and
yeah, and stuff like
caught it
that.
aflame. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm wondering, like I'm just like show me, like.
right.
So I'm into this. I'm
Yeah,
very much into this. But yeah. So, well, that's going to be our review. Join us again next time for another TV series or movie, where we will give you our unofficial opinion.
absolutely.
All right.
Always, always
Yes.
available.
Yes.
Which is why.
Don't forget that you can contact us on. We're on Twitter. We are on Facebook. We're also on YouTube. This video is, well, you'll see this video on YouTube as well. So stay around, watch our podcast, and let others know. And don't forget to like it on YouTube. Like and subscribe.
Do it
We will talk to you later. Bye, Tim.
later. Bye, Tim.